What if the secret to true strength was not about controlling others, but about mastering your own emotions? What if the storms of life could rage around you, yet your inner calm remained untouched? And what if ancient Stoic wisdom held the timeless key to walking through chaos with unshaken serenity? The art of staying unbothered. In a world overrun by speed, noise, and ceaseless reaction, the true rarity is calm. Not the fleeting kind of peace that exists when everything is quiet, but the enduring calm that withstands storms, the kind of inner stillness that remains undisturbed even as the world trembles. Modern life offers no shortage of provocations, from inconsiderate words and erratic drivers to online arguments and disappointments in personal relationships. It can feel as if the world is conspiring to shake your composure. And yet, if you study the wisdom of the Stoics, you come to see something both radical and liberating. The world does not disturb us. We disturb ourselves through our judgments, our expectations, and our unwillingness to let go of what we cannot control. This is the essence of emotional mastery. True strength lies not in dominating others, raising your voice, or proving a point, but in remaining undisturbed when others cannot. The Stoics believed that calmness was not just a virtue but a mark of power of inner victory. It is not about coldness or indifference. Rather, it is about possessing such clarity of thought and firmness of spirit that nothing outside of you can steal your peace. And the best part, this ability is within reach. By embracing Stoic principles, you can step off the treadmill of emotional reactivity and begin cultivating a life governed not by impulse but by intention. A life where the chaos of the world no longer dictates the state of your mind. Let us now explore the timeless principles that allow us to remain unbothered by others, free from the grip of anger and rooted in serenity no matter what life hurls in our direction. 1. Understanding Stoicism, the foundation of emotional mastery. To understand how to stay calm in the face of provocation, one must first understand what the Stoics meant by control. They drew a bold, unwavering line between what is within our power and what lies beyond it. Epictetus, born a slave and later one of the most revered Stoic teachers, taught that we must focus all our energy only on what depends on us, our thoughts, our choices, our character. Everything else, people's opinions, events, even our health and status, belong to the realm of the uncontrollable. And to attach our peace to anything outside of that is to build a fortress upon sand. This isn't a passive resignation, but a radical reorientation of our attention. When someone offends you, insults you, or behaves unjustly, you are at a fork in the road. The average person sees only one path: react, defend, attack, retaliate. But the Stoic sees another way, the path of inner dominion. You have power over your mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. In other words, your anger is not caused by what someone said. It's caused by your interpretation of what they said. Your frustration is not the fault of life being unfair. It's the consequence of believing it should have been otherwise. This shift is the beginning of mastery. It demands discipline but offers liberation. You begin to see that nobody can make you angry. They can act unjustly, yes, but the emotion you feel is your choice, even if that choice happens in the blink of an eye. And when you begin to choose differently, when you pause instead of react, when you question your interpretations, when you decide to let an offense pass through you like winds through open hands, you no longer live as a victim of circumstance. You live as a sovereign of your own soul. 2. Recognizing what you can and cannot control. There is a profound peace that arises when we stop trying to control what was never ours to command. The Stoics saw this distinction as the cornerstone of tranquility, the discipline of accepting what is not in our control and the commitment to perfecting what island. It seems deceptively simple, yet it challenges the very core of how most of us live. We stress over what people think of us. We ruminate on past mistakes. We argue with reality as if we could bend it with our outrage. And in doing so, we exhaust ourselves, trading our peace for illusions of power. The moment you internalize this Stoic teaching that you're only responsible for your own mind, character, and actions, the burden of the world lifts. Imagine walking through life with this filter in place. Whenever something disturbs you, you ask, is this within my control? If the answer is no, a rude email, a delayed flight, a friend's betrayal, you let it go. You do not deny the pain, but you do not carry it longer than necessary. You turn instead to your response, your judgment, your character. You respond not as a slave to emotion, but as a student of virtue. This practice is not easy. It requires ruthless honesty and relentless practice. But the reward is nothing less than emotional freedom. You begin to understand that your serenity is not at the mercy of other people's behavior. You do not need them to act better in order for you to feel better. And in that realization lies immense strength. You are no longer reactive, no longer on edge, no longer tangled in the drama of the world. You have stepped into the rarest kind of power, self-mastery. 3. Practicing non-reactivity, responding with wisdom. To practice non-reactivity is to reclaim the space between stimulus and response, to lengthen the pause in which you decide who you are going to be. It is in that sacred pause where character is forged. The world will test you. People will misunderstand you, provoke you, disappoint you, but your dignity lies in your refusal to become what they are. The Stoics taught that you must never allow someone else's vice to infect your virtue. If someone is cruel, that does not mean you must become harsh. If someone is angry, you are not obligated to meet them in that fire. Let them burn. You remain the ocean deep, calm, unmoved. Marcus Aurelius wrote often about the practice of anticipation, preparing the mind each morning for what it might encounter. He would remind himself that he would meet meddlers, ingrates, the arrogant, deceitful, envious, and unsocial. But rather than despair, he used this as an opportunity to remind himself of his duty to remain virtuous regardless of others. Their nature is not his concern, his conduct island. This is what non-reactivity means. Not the suppression of emotion, but the elevation of reason. It is the steady hand in chaos, the unshaken gaze amidst noise. It is wisdom in motion, not passivity, but a higher kind of engagement, one that chooses when and how to respond rather than being pulled by every passing impulse. Over time, this practice becomes second nature. You no longer flinch at offense. You no longer need to retaliate. You observe, you breathe, and you decide. The world no longer commands your peace, you do. 4. The power of perspective, seeing the bigger picture. If there is a secret to enduring peace, it lies in the way we perceive events. Perspective is everything. What disturbs us is not the event itself, but the meaning we assign to it. Stoicism offers a powerful reframe. Nothing is inherently good or bad. It is thinking that makes it so. You are not disturbed by criticism, but by the belief that it diminishes your worth. You are not angered by delay, but by the expectation that things should go your way. Change the lens and the entire world changes. This is why the Stoics practice a technique called the view from above. When frustrated, they would mentally zoom out, imagining their problem from a higher vantage point, as if seeing their life from the stars. What once felt enormous becomes laughably small, a minor insult forgotten by next week, a bad day, a blink in the span of your life. Even our greatest fears, rejection, failure, death, are rendered powerless when placed in the context of eternity. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Perspective dissolves suffering like sunlight dissolves mist. And sir, the next time someone bothers you, ask, what else could this mean? What might I learn? Will this matter tomorrow, next year, at the end of my life?" This shift is not about denial, but about liberation, freeing yourself from the tyranny of exaggerated emotion and grounding yourself in truth. The wise are not those who avoid hardship, but those who have trained their minds to see hardship clearly, calmly, and with courage. That clarity is what turns chaos into wisdom and offense into insight. 5. Developing inner resilience, building emotional strength. True strength is not found in the absence of pain, but in the ability to endure it without collapse. Resilience, the Stoics' prized virtue, is a quiet power that allows you to remain steady in the midst of hardship. Life, the Stoics taught, will never be without challenge. You will lose things you love. You will be misunderstood, rejected, hurt. But your suffering is not what defines you. Your response to it is to build resilience. The Stoics recommended premeditatio malorum, the contemplation of adversity, not to be morbid, but to strengthen the spirit. Imagine loss. Imagine difficulty. Imagine insult, failure, even death. And in imagining, prepare your soul. He robs present ills of their power. Seneca said, "Who has prepared himself for their coming?" The resilient are not surprised by hardship. They are ready for it, and in that readiness, there is peace. But resilience is not built in moments of crisis. It is forged in the quiet daily practices. Reflecting, journaling, practicing gratitude, confronting your fears, choosing virtue over comfort. These are the bricks from which you build an inner citadel, a fortress of character that no storm can breach. Over time, you realize you can face anything, not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger. And with that strength comes calm. You are no longer tossed by the winds of the world. You are anchored. 6. Embracing the serenity of detachment. To live in peace, one must learn the art of letting go, not of caring, but of clinging. Detachment is the ability to move through life open-hearted yet unburdened, to give your best without tying your soul to outcomes or the approval of others. It is not apathy. It is freedom. And it is the highest expression of Stoic wisdom. When you are attached to how others treat you, you make your peace conditional. When you are attached to success, recognition, or reputation, you build your identity on sand. But when you detach, you become untouchable, not because nothing affects you, but because nothing controls you. You remain rooted in principle, not praise, in purpose, not result, in virtue, not validation. This is what Epictetus meant when he said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life." Detachment is that freedom, the unshakable calm that comes from knowing that your worth is not up for negotiation. You no longer chase peace. You are peace. And in the stillness, you begin to live not reactively, but consciously. Not as a servant of circumstance, but as a sovereign of your inner life. Conclusion. The way of the unshaken soul to never be angry or bothered is not to become cold or indifferent. It is to become deeply alive, but on your own terms. It is to walk through a chaotic world with grace, to meet insult with composure, to transform pain into wisdom. This is the way of the Stoic. Not a life free from storms, but a life lived with an unshaken soul. If you are ready for this kind of power, the kind that cannot be taken from you, begin now. Reflect, journal, practice, reclaim your attention, observe your reactions, train your mind to return again and again to the truth. Your peace is yours alone. Others may provoke you, but only you can give them the keys to your serenity. Keep walking this path and you will not only live free, you will become a light for others. Calm in the chaos, still in the storm, stoic in spirit. Mastering your emotions isn't about perfection. It's about practice. Every moment you choose calm over chaos, discipline over reaction, wisdom over impulse. You strengthen the foundation of a resilient, unshakable spirit. That's the power of Stoicism. It returns your authority to you. No longer do the words of others dictate your mood. No longer do small frustrations steal your clarity. You begin to live deliberately with serenity, courage, and control. If today's message spoke to you, don't let it fade into the background. Act on it. Integrate it. Begin now. Reflect on what triggers you and ask yourself, how can I respond differently with presence, with principle, with purpose? And if you're ready to go deeper, if you're ready to design a life of emotional mastery, grounded discipline, and clear intention, subscribe to Stoic Thrive now. Join a community that's not just surviving the world, but mastering the mind within it. Tap the bell icon so you never miss a moment of clarity, wisdom, and growth. Drop a comment below. What part of Stoicism helps you stay calm in the storm? Like the video if you found value and share it with someone who's ready to rise above the noise. Remember, the world will always test your peace, but how you respond, that's your power. Stay grounded, stay unbothered, and as always, thrive forward.